So the reason I think that we have allowed this kind of definition for sanctification to permeate the modern American church is twofold. The first has to do with the way we have defined sin. We are told in the church that this is sin, and we're told that it is bad and life-destroying and relationship damaging. We are told that it will send us to hell, and all these things are obviously true. The Bible would support and teach those consequences and effects of sin. However, what we have done with sin in the modern American church is we have reduced it to being almost exclusively decisionistic. So sin is something that we decide to avoid, or sin is something that we decide to do better. So sin would be a bad choice, to not sin would be a good choice. So we really have reduced sin to being largely in the court of our ability to make a good or a bad decision. So we have all of these examples of, I wake up this morning, do I go to the left or do I go to the right? I have a choice in front of me. Am I going to choose to sin or am I going to choose not to sin? And that is largely how the majority of American evangelicals view sin. And so it's therefore no surprise that the majority of resources available on this topic and the sermons that are produced and the video series that are pushed out and the evangelical crusades, all of these things center on making a decision for Christ. We've commonly heard that repentance is a 180-degree turn. So we are going one way with our decisions, we then decide to go the opposite way with our decisions. Now, the problem with that is that yes, sin is destructive. Yes, sin is damaging. Yes, sin destroys and ruins and lays waste to our lives. But as one author that I currently read said, that the gravest mistake of the American church over the last 50 years has been relegating sin to simply being decisionistic. So here it is as we currently view it in the American church. This is really sin. It is big, it is huge, it does take up the entire page. But this part, which is decisionistic, is actually only a small portion of this greater evil, which is sin. And what we have lost the tyrannical nature. I don't know if tyrannical has two ends. I can't autocorrect my marker writing. We've lost the tyrannical nature of sin. Sin is a tyrant. It is a corruption to the very core of our being, which we are born with. So yes, we have a decisionistic component to it, biblical wisdom, making good choices, all those things, but in emphasizing the decision, we have lost the true depth and horror and power of sin as it relates to the lives of people in this world. So sin is a tyrant. So we have the imagery of Job. The Puritans like to use this imagery of the Leviathan. Modern evangelicals say, oh, that's an example of dinosaurs existing. I think that's an improper reading, to say the least. The rhetorical question is asked, can you take this Leviathan by the nostrils and lead it about? And the obvious answer is, of course you can't, because it's too powerful. And so the Leviathan type tyrannical nature of sin, we have completely lost that in the modern American church. And as such, we accept this as being the proper framework for sanctification. Because if sanctification is purely decisions, well, of course I can decide to go to a Bible study. Of course I can decide to go on a mission trip. Of course I can decide to volunteer more and give more and sacrifice more and do all of these things. And it's very charted and plotted. And that's all fine and dandy, but it's not, because it denies this tyrannical nature of sin. So in order for us to improve our understanding of sanctification, we first need to improve and sharpen our understanding of sin. And sin is, yes, it is decisionistic, but this is not the whole picture. Sin is much bigger, broader, more all-encompassing. As the New Testament says, we are dead in our trespasses and sins. It doesn't say that we are afflicted with making bad decisions. It says that we are dead. And there's a big difference between being afflicted with bad judgment and being dead. So sin is a tyrant, and we need to understand that and ponder that and have the truth of that weigh on our heart if we are to then better understand sanctification. So this is the first error that we need to correct. And we'll look at the second one here in a minute.